BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe with, I was about to say episode, see, I mean, too many different one of these things. It is week 523. It is the end of the month. It is theme week. It is I would hope it's Halloween horror themed week. In fact, it's volume 3. I think this is the third one in the history of BodyBags that we've done something like this. And so I thought I would run something different. So we're all doing sort of Halloween themed movies this week to celebrate, one of the greatest holidays on our calendar for us. And that is, of course, even now as I record this on Sunday, we have a few days yet till Halloween. So I know by the time you see this, we would have already got past Halloween, but I hope the ride up to Halloween was great and your day was great, whatever it is you planned. It's kind of hard on a Tuesday to do much of anything, but maybe you did something on a weekend, I don't know. So I thought I would run with something a little bit different. Months ago, we got the announcement from Radiance that Messiah of Evil was getting a collector's edition release from them. And this is a movie that I just had stumbled upon via Shudder. And really it was quite blown away. And then sort of coinciding with that was hearing about this announcement and then jumping on the pre-order. And lo and behold, we got it. And so I thought, you know what? This is sort of a Lovecraftian, apocalyptic doom, sort of end of the world cult, really atmospheric, creepy little bit of a movie. And I thought, you know what, I'll go a little bit of a different route for Halloween week and do something that maybe people might not expect. And so this is it, right? And of course you got the alternative artwork cover inside. Back side of that, everything you get here with Radiance. There's a great commentary on there with Kim Newman and Troy Howarth, which is really interesting. And I think there's a few docs on here. But really what's really cool is this book that comes, right? And that's like, it's got a lot in here. And today I actually read the last two essays. Kiss Tomorrow Goodbye, Lovecraft Cults in the Uncanny and Messiah of Evil by Larissa Glasser. And then the last essay, Eyes Are the Windows of the Soul, Gateways to American Despair and the Messiah of Evil by Andy Marshall Roberts. And there's a couple other essays in there. It's got some really artwork from the movie, or pictures from the movie in there as well, right? Scenes from the movie. And the two essays I read were absolutely fantastic. That was one of them, and that is a fantastic scene, the theater scene, right? And then of course the box that came in. If you haven't seen it yet, really nice job. I keep the plastic on there a lot of times if I can, and this keeps this little thing on here because that'll just pull right off. But really nice job on this. Really heavy cardboard, really sturdy, nice. And so anyways, it's let's see, Willard Huyck directed it, as well as Katz, who I think he was married to at the time, had wrote the screenplay and directed this film. I think it was shot in 71. Ultimately begins to get released in 73, ultimately 74. So we'll just say this is a 74 film. And an interesting story with that, I'll just sort of throw this out there. It's really fascinating. You get a little bit more of this in the commentary, but apparently, as shooting was coming to an end on this film, the investors, for whatever reason, decided to pull their money from it, thus pretty much ending the existence of this film, at least in terms for the director and screenwriter, the team of Huyck and Katz. Well, this guy, apparently, I think he was a Frenchman, had come in, ultimately picked up the rights to it, and then ultimately, this film had not even been edited yet, took it upon himself to edit the film, or have the film edited, and at least according to Troy Howarth and Kim Newman, the editing that took place was handled very with a lot of heart, very professionally, in the sense they sort of really kind of understood what the director's intent was, what they were looking for. And so the film seems to be what we probably maybe pretty close to what we would have got perhaps had the director and Katz, his screenwriter, been able to edit it themselves. We'll never know for sure because they didn't edit it. So I mean, all we can do is rely on what others tell us, that this is pretty close vision of ultimately, and it is a creepy one. But Willard Huyck, he was a script doctor on episode 4, New Hope, Star Wars. But he actually wrote the screenplay, get this, for Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Isn't that stinking awesome? It is an interesting, the cinematographer shot the Blues Brothers. Isn't that something? And I think, too, Hayek might have directed Howard the Duck. That's funny. And so basically, you have, like I said, this is a really Lovecraftian in its core. And you really have a central group of characters. Arletty, who is played by Marianna Hill. She is really our main protagonist in the film. She is the one that we really sort of kind of cling to, as well as Tom, Thom, which is an interesting way to spell it, played by Micheal Greer, which I think he is the standout here. He is amazing to watch in this movie. And he's got 2 girl companions with him that we when we catch up or meet with them. Tony, played by Joy Bang, and then Laura, played by Anitra Ford. And then Elisha Cook Jr. in this movie, man, is Charlie. It really does, the story really does lend itself to sort of a Shadow over Innsmouth / Dagon in terms of Lovecraft, inspiration of Lovecraft. And so really, when you meet Arletty at the beginning of the film, she's seemingly in an insane asylum, sort of just speaking to her experiences, which we'll kind of get to see from her point of view. She'll tell us about this, right? But she's in an insane asylum, and all she knows is what she believes to be the truth, which is her mom passes. Her dad, who had a habit of going out to this small little coastal town in California, Point Dume, or Dume, D-U-M-E, I think it was. When the mom dies, he goes out there for good, and suddenly his letters start to become really erratic, and then suddenly he just disappears. So she goes out after him to find him. And the minute she gets into this town, or to the periphery of this town, you already know something weird is afoot in this town. There is some sort of evil that is sort of slowly but surely, methodically breaking its way into this world. Very Lovecraftian-like, right? And so she finds her dad's house, where he stayed at, and she really just starts to play sleuth. What happened to him? And the town really doesn't know much about him, at least those who are still around in town. You've got a lot of ghouls and a lot of weird cultic things happening. You're not really sure exactly the nature of everything. It's sort of a film that's really built on the shoulders of, say, Night of the Living Dead, Carnival of Souls, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Really has some of these strong embedded vibes running through, as well as being very Lovecraftian. And so as part of her sleuthing, right, she goes to an art gallery, because he's a painter and he would have sold paintings, right? And so they're not really that helpful to her, but they do send her directionally towards somebody who may know, and that is this guy, Tom, and these 2 girls who apparently showed up looking for her dad as well. And so when she catches up with them at this motel, they are actually right in the process. Tom is interviewing Charlie, played by Elisha Cook Jr. And he is sort of kind of a collector of traditions or cult traditions. He's kind of eccentric, kind of a weird character. Oh boy. I thought the film was starting. I was going to say that would be a problem. Flag. But that's fine. And so she sort of rides out that interview, and then ultimately Charlie leaves, and then she sort of states her case to Tom, who is just it's weird. You can't even really explain his character. It's just, you don't know if he's an antagonist, protagonist, where his motives lie. Is he ultimately the bad guy? Is he really a good guy? And that's where the film is a little blurry in terms of nothing's really clear cut in this movie. It's really quite fascinating. But ultimately, she heads back home after she has her talk with Charlie outside. She heads home. Well, in the middle of the night, or maybe it's early morning, suddenly she wakes up to find that Tom and his two companions are in her house. But what's really weird is she ultimately is okay with it. And that's where you start to wonder, just what's happening here. It's really, really fascinating. There are two scenes, or actually three, really. The gas station scene at the beginning, when she first is coming into town, she stops at a gas station where the gas attendant, who is also getting gas for this guy that presumably is part of this cult, he's got a couple dead bodies in the back. Well, this guy, basically shoos the girl off. She doesn't, without her paying, to protect her. He is sort of like the guy in The Hills Have Eyes that lives outside of the town periphery, right? And then you've got a grocery store scene that is insane involving Laura, and ultimately what happens to her is so freaking creepy, disturbing in terms of the editing and the camera work, and the contrast between light and the scenes, and color plays a huge role in this movie, in terms of tone, right? And then Tony, the younger one of the companions, she ends up, there's a scene that takes place in a movie theater where towards the end of the film, I think she's in there looking just to kind of break away from everything that's been going on, and she's in there, right? And all of a sudden one person comes in, another comes in, and it's Alfred Hitchcock's The Bird Effect, right? Where the camera moves away, comes back, there's more, moves away, comes back, there's more, and he finally gets to the point where she's like surrounded, and it is so ultra creepy. I mean, and this is the stuff that makes great viewings for like Halloween and stuff, right? And so ultimately what happens to her in this theater is really, really, really pretty shocking. Really, really sort of creepy. And then those three scenes are really the stand-up. But you've got some absolutely beautiful photography. There's a scene early on when, first morning, when Arletty is taking a walk on the beach. It's the just the photography of her walking down the beach with the mist and the sea and just everything. It really is quite amazing how this movie was shot, in terms of how it looks, right? The architecture of the places and the houses and the paintings, and you've just got so much stuff working in this, and it really is a shame that we did not get this film edited the way it probably should have been edited. And so it really is a creepy movie. It's one of those that you've never seen before, but then you stumble into it, and it's like, where's this film been all my life? It's just the same way with Spider Baby. Where's it been all my life? I mean, this film is like, but you know what? It helps that the first time I get this in my collection, it's a release like Radiance. I was gonna say Sundance. What is that? Radiance. And so I got the book, and I've got the commentaries, and I got some of the extras, right, and other things in it. And so it just makes it fun, right? You can really sort of dig in deep, right? And it is an amazing film. And then sort of the end is bookended by the beginning, and you're sort of given in to some of the lore, the legend, this drifter, this stranger, and some of the history that goes with this, the nemesis, I guess, the overarching doom that is trying to break into this world. But ultimately, the bookended end of the film, it leaves you wondering a few things. Is she really insane? Was her dad insane, and therefore she was insane? Has she imagined all of it? Or are we dealing with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where she is a survivor of this place, but only she understands the complexity or the totality of the truth, and no one will listen to her because they think she's nuts. And that is fascinating. And so this doom is sort of casting itself out more and more, and the world is going to be subject to it if people don't listen to her. But it really is interpretation of how you interpreted the film. It's a very fascinating, interesting experiment. If you've never seen it and you want to, it is Shudder. It's on Shudder. The transfer's not the greatest, but you know it's doable, right? It's absolutely doable. It's actually pretty good on this Radiance release. It's cleaned up quite a bit. It really looks pretty good, although it has its points where it's a little grainy, and not sure why, because it was filmed in 35 millimeter, so I'm not sure where the grain comes from, but I don't mind it. I love the grain, man. And the film does look pretty good. But if you're in the mood for something that is that, like, again, sort of sits on the shoulders of you know, things like Night of the Living Dead, and it really does predate Romero's consumerism message of Dawn, as well as Carnival of Souls, and just perhaps Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and just the whole idea of this unseeming this threat that's coming in from the sea. There's images of these people lighting fires along the beach to try to guide in this malevolent force. It is got some creepy visuals to it. It is interesting, yeah. So I don't know. It is interesting if you've never seen it. It's really interesting. Messiah of Evil, Halloween week 2023. And if you didn't catch, I actually did a 31 Days of Horror this year, and there is a playlist in my channel. And that was my first one ever. That was a fun month. I'll say that for sure. An absolutely fun month. And my latest Crazy Fives, dealing with the Halloween franchise and my go-to Halloween film. So happy Halloween. I know it's a day late because you get me on Wednesday, but know that all week long it's Halloween themed films. Enjoy it. Thank you for the support. Thank you for what all you guys bring to Body Bags. It's so much appreciated. Without you, where would we be? All right, without an audience of sorts, right? So enjoy the week, enjoy your Halloween, and we do have Thanksgiving to look forward to, and so I know we're all, I hope, happy about that, and of course Christmas that lies beyond that. Anyways, we always end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.
We might be useful to